go ahead and get started here. Thanks for joining today. My name's Matt. I'm on our technical support team with IDX. And I also have my colleague Lane. Lane's going to be working the questions today. So if you haven't seen that already, there is a little question module box that you can pop out. And as we go along, if you do have a question, just drop it in there. Lane will be happy to answer it. If we get to the end of the presentation and there's either unanswered questions or you just wanted to save it till the end, I'll try to answer a couple out loud. Also, if you think of a question tonight or later in the week and it didn't occur to you until then, feel free to call or email us and we're happy to help out. A lot of that stuff will start to percolate and make more sense as you're actually making the changes yourself. All right, so here is our overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to just talk about briefly what is SEO, search engine optimization, and then we'll dive into the tools and IDX Broker. We're going to talk about creating a custom subdomain. We'll talk a little bit about Google Search Console, specifically about submitting a sitemap and how to verify your domain. And then beyond that, those will be some high-level conceptual things. And then we'll dive into the IDX tools. How do we turn on SSL or a security certificate? How do we actually use our IDX Broker pages? How do we toggle some of those settings so that we can make sure our pages are adhering to SEO best practices? We'll also talk about creating save links. These are like landing pages that you can add to your site, as well as the settings that you'd want to configure. And lastly, we'll talk about subheaders. It's just an area of IDX pages where you can add additional content. So basically, all of these are just tools within the IDX system that will help you adhere to best practices. Typically, webinars with us range between 30 to 35 minutes. If we end up going over that time and it feels like you got to get off to another appointment, we are going to send a recording of this along with a checklist. So if you want to follow along now, feel free, but you can also just sit back, relax, and then go through this at a later time. So let's just briefly talk about what is SEO before we dive in. SEO, as many of us already know, stands for Search Engine Optimization. Here's a definition that our marketing team put together. It's the practice of increasing both the quality and quantity of website traffic, as well as exposure for your brand through non-paid, also known as organic, search engine results. What this means is anytime someone goes onto a search engine like Google and they type in something like a keyword or a phrase, does your site come up in those results? That would be organic ranking or organic traffic. Now, of course, you could pay to have your site come up at the top, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just outside the scope of what we're going to cover today. So this would be, how do I get my website to come up below those ads, but still sort of at the top? I don't know about you, but when I'm looking through search results, I'm generally on the first couple pages, and beyond that, I don't really dig too much deeper. So that is the goal, right? Is how do we get our websites to come up in those first couple pages of results? As it relates to IDX Broker, the scope of this webinar is going to talk about the tools that you need and that IDX provides to adhere to SEO best practices. We're also going to just make some recommendations based on industry standards that will help your website to rank in search results. Full disclosure, I and the support team here are very technical, but we're not marketing professionals. So we're going to tell you about the tools and the best practices, but we're not going to have all of the knowledge about what types of keywords to use and things of that nature. And so we're going to make sure that you have all the tools you need to do that, but then feel free to work with a marketing team or a design company so that you can continue to evolve the topics that we're working here and come up with a really awesome strategy to get your site to come up in results. So let's dig in. I'm actually going to log into my IDX Broker account, and feel free to log in as well if you want to follow along. Like I said, this is going to be recorded, so feel free to just sit back and relax and watch right now, and you can go along with it later. But first thing I'm going to talk to you about is creating a custom subdomain. This may be the single most important thing that you can do to get SEO credit for your website from your IDX Broker tools. So it's a really important thing that we recommend everyone does. And I'm just going to show you briefly what that is and kind of explain how that works. If you're in your account, and if you're new to IDX, most of the tools that you're going to use are going to be in this design tab. So design, and then website, and then page templates. So these are all IDX Broker pages that we've created and that we host. They're on our domain, and you can add them to your website to give your visitors things like searches to allow them to search for the MLS listings. This is included with any plan. So Lite, Platinum, whatever plan you're on, you're going to have access to these search pages. And I'll pull one up. I already have it up here, but you could click on Advanced Search if you're following along. And you'll see this page has some search fields, and it looks like my website because I've already styled it. I'll show you my website too. You can kind of see I have this blue and gray theme going on, and that's what I've applied to my IDX page as well. So I would definitely want to add this page to my website, but how does Google know, or any search engine know, that this page should be related to my website? Well, by default, it doesn't. And the reason why is because of the way that the domain structure is set up. So if we look up at the top here, you'll notice that this page is a .idxbroker.com page. That means that the domain that's hosting this page is IDX Broker. So when Google sees that I've added this page to my website, they see the domain name of the page and they think, oh, well, that's not related to this person's website. So I'm not going to include that in my search engine optimization ranking. What you can do, and what we recommend you do, is you create something called a custom subdomain. What this does is it lets you basically rename the URL. You're kind of creating like a second name or a mask or an alias. You'll sometimes hear it called that. And that way you can remove this part of the URL. Google then would see that change and they would say, oh, well, this page is relevant to this website. I do want to make sure that I include it when I'm ranking this website. So I'll show you how that looks, because I don't have this set up on my account, but one of our clients does. So we'll go to their website real quick. This is chrismackeyrealestate.com. And you'll notice that when I go to one of their search pages, instead of saying .idxbroker.com, it says homes.chrismackeyrealestate.com. And then it's got the IDX type of page. So this person actually created a custom subdomain to rename the IDX pages. So they take out that .idxbroker portion of the URL. That way Google knows, hey, they've added this page to their site and I should include it in the search engine. I hope that makes sense. If it's not, we have a really great article on this and step-by-step instructions on how do you actually set this up. So if you feel a little lost, it's totally okay. There's going to be a ton of other articles and resources for you to be able to set this up. But I just wanted to highlight the importance of doing this, especially early on. That way, as you add these pages to your site, Google is going to know, yeah, let's include these pages. And that's going to overall help your site rank higher in search results. When you follow the article to set that up, there's just an area in the account. So it's account and then details. And that's where you'll actually toggle on this custom domain setting. So follow the steps in the article. It'll be included in the checklist that we'll send you, but that will help you set up the custom domain and help you get those IDX pages included with your other domain, give you the SEO credit for those pages. Another important thing that you'll definitely want to do early on is establish or make your site secure. And this may already be happening for you, but a really good thing to check is if you're following along, go ahead and in a new window, type in your website address and see if it is secure. The way you can tell is if you go on, like I'm in Chrome, the top, you see how it says not secure. If yours says not secure, it means that your website currently does not have a security certificate. If it is secure, it would either say secure or it would have like a padlock. I'll show you on this example client's website. See how there's this padlock at the top here? This means that this website does have a security certificate. So this is actually determined in your DNS where you have your hosting. So a lot of you probably use GoDaddy or HostGator. You would actually be able to get a security certificate in that platform. So if you notice your site's not secure, definitely log in and get it secure, because Google does look for secure websites. And the reason for that is it's establishing that this is a legitimate website. I'm not doing anything illegal or nefarious on my website. It's a legitimate website. And so definitely get your site secure. And once you do, you can then have your IDX broker pages be secure as well. They do need to match up. So if your website's not secure, your IDX pages can't be secure either. And vice versa. Once your website's secure, then you can enable SSL for your IDX pages. And I'll show you that in real time as well. Here's my website. Again, it's not secure. But if I go to my IDX pages, the .idx broker pages, this also not secure. But with the example site, you'll see this one is secure, and also their website pages are secure. Their IDX pages are secure as well. When you're ready to toggle on, also if you're following along, you can check if it's turned on for your IDX pages. Again, click on Account and then Details. And then there's this toggle here, Enable HTTPS. So when your site's secure, go ahead and just click Enable HTTP to yes, and that will automatically generate a security certificate for your IDX pages. Because they're hosted by us, we have to generate the security certificate for those pages. So step one would just be make sure that your site is secure. And once it is, go to this area of the account and toggle that on. Okay, last kind of conceptual thing that we want to make sure we do is verifying your domain with Google Search Console. I'm not going to dig too deep into this, but we do have a great article on it, but I'll explain the importance of it and why you should do this in your free time. So verifying your domain is basically a way for you to submit your domain to Google to tell them, hey, I want you to review my site. This is a legitimate website that should be in search results. And that way you're just ensuring that it is going to rank in search results when people are searching for relevant keywords to your website. Again, we have a great article on this, but basically this is the page that you would see. And in Google Search Console, it would just ask you to submit your domain for verification. And you would just click continue. Google would ask you some questions. And then it's a pretty straightforward process for verifying your domain. It's a simple step, but it does make a big difference in SEO that Google knows that your site is verified. Okay, and then last thing that I would recommend, or that we recommend you do, is submit a sitemap. A sitemap is basically a collection of all the content on your website. It's a way to tell Google what's on your website, like what type of content, what type of pages, where are they located. And it just helps Google and other search engines know what's this website about, how is it organized. You can actually make these yourself, but we've done the heavy lifting for you. We've already created one for your IDX broker pages, and you can find that in Design, Website, Page Templates. And then if you scroll down, there is a section called Other Pages, and there's a sitemap and an XML sitemap. The XML is what you'd actually want. That's the one that you would want to submit to Google. And also in the Search Console, there is going to be a tool that they have where you can submit the sitemap. So it's basically, again, just a file that contains all the content and organization of your site. And after you've gotten everything set up, I would recommend you submit that sitemap file to Google. That way they know what your site's about. It also tells Google, hey, go ahead and look at my site, crawl it. I really want this site to come up in search results. And that is one step that you can do to kind of speed up that process. It's not necessary to do, or it's not required to do it, but we do recommend it because it will just ensure that Google finds your website. Awesome. I was just looking at the questions here. Elaine's doing a great job answering those. So let's dig into these pages a little bit. Let's talk about how SEO, or what tools we have related to SEO for these pages. So if you're not there already, it's again in Design, Website, and Page Templates. And what I want to look at is, let's look at our details pages. So I'm going to go ahead and just open up a search page. And I have one pulled up here. And let's do a search. And then I just kind of did a wide open search here, and I see some results. And I have some demo data. So if these all look the same, it's just because of that demo data. But I'll go ahead and open up a listing. And then this is what's referred to as a details page in the IDX system. This contains all the listing information. So it would have you or the agent's information. It would have all the details about the listing, description, remarks, bedrooms, bathrooms. So this is a great way to display information about listings. But another thing you can do is you can kind of add some things on the back end of this page to tell Google what type of information is on the page, and hopefully allow your site to come up in more type of search results. So let's look at those SEO settings in the account. If you go back to the account, and we're going to go down to the area of the pages that's called details pages. And what we want to click on is the edit button that's for the page preferences. And then easy enough, there's an SEO settings tab, which has all of the tools you need for adding in SEO related tools. And the thing that we're going to look at right now is called dynamic tags or dynamic keywords. Our system is set up to have these dynamic tags so that as the listing changes, it knows which keywords to put into the back end of these pages for Google. So you'll see there's like a button here that says add dynamic tag. And by clicking that, it will actually give you a list of all of the tags that you can add. So you don't have to know how to like code this. It's really just as easy as clicking that and saying, here's what I want to include on the back end of these pages. So let's look at some of the stuff that's in here. Right now, and the keywords, for example, I've got the listing ID, which would be like the MLS number. I've got the address, the city name, the state. And so if somebody was to search for a certain listing by an MLS number, a city, a state, a zip code, this website page, this details page is going to have all of this stuff added to, it's called meta tags. So it's information that's existing in the page to tell search engines what the page is about. So by making sure you have these in this area, you're basically setting yourself up for success so that if somebody does search for these keywords, Google is going to try to present this page as, a top result for what that user is looking for on Google. Another thing you can do also is change the title of the page. So you'll see, for example, the title text is IDX prop type. So that's the property type, for sale, and the city name. And that's what's going to show up on the page title. And so you can kind of see that up here in this details page. I've got the prop type, which is single family. Then it says for sale and then the city name. And that's all dynamically generated by our system. So our system's automatically doing that for each individual listing. So it's really nice. You don't have to worry about trying to set this up for each listing page individually. Our system does it automatically for you. And you can change the text here. So if I just wanted it to say single family city name, I didn't want the for sale, and I could just delete that out there. This is totally customizable. So I highly recommend making sure you have these dynamic details, a title, description, and keywords, and just do the add dynamic tag. Make it really easy for yourself. It's really good for SEO so that Google knows what this page is about. Let's also look at our search pages. I'm going to go back to design, website, page templates. And then you can kind of do the same with all of these pages. If there's an edit button under the preferences, you can edit the page preferences and see if there's SEO setting related buttons in there. So let's look at the advanced search and let's edit the page preferences. And again, there's an SEO tab. And same thing, one thing I would recommend you do is go in here and add a page title for all of your pages that you're going to add. So that way, that would show up at the top of those search pages, but also tell Google what this page is about. You can see there's also a meta tag, description, and keywords. So again, you could write something about like what the search page is about. This page is about homes that are available in Aventura, California, great for the family, pet owners, and more. So this is all the details that would show up behind the scenes in the code of the page and that Google would be looking at, so that when someone's searching for great homes for sale for my pets in Aventura, California, hopefully your page would come up in those search results. So really recommend that you do add a page title as well as come in here and add some keywords and description for all of your IDX pages. Okay, so these are like the default pages that you can add, but you can actually make your own pages based on saved criteria that you care about. And we call these saved links. These are really great to add because they act like landing pages. It's a great way to add additional content to your site. I actually have one on my site right now, and I have it right here on my menu. And it's called Miami Ranch Style Homes. So let's go ahead and click that. And I've already on the back end of the system said what type of results I want to show up. So ranch style homes in Miami, and you can see 37 results. And then what I'm trying to do, essentially what the goal of this page is to create a curated list of listings that meet like a certain criteria. The way you create these in the account is in design, website, and saved links. And then if you haven't made one yet, you can click this create link button and you can pick one of the search pages to define the criteria. I like using the advanced search. I think that gives you the most amount of options, but if you just want to make a really simple search, you could use basic. If you're on the platinum account, you can actually like draw a polygon, like a shape out. So if it's a weird neighborhood that doesn't have a field to use, you maybe want to just draw it. You can also use the map search, which would let you zoom in and out of a map and define the criteria that way. Lots of options. Let's go ahead and just use advanced search. And then this is what I was mentioning. You could pick your criteria. So I could go down here and say, I want to show single family homes in a certain city, price range, and I want to have a curated list of results that come up. Go ahead and click next step. And then down here, we have those same SEO settings. So you can make a page title, you can add in those meta tags and keywords. If this is about, let's say this is about golf course homes, then I could say like, find your next home on a golf course or on the back nine, something like that, so that people know that when they're searching for golf course homes, hopefully Google would know to serve this website page up for those people that are searching. I'm going to go back to a save link I've already created and show you what I've already added into that one. So there's the Miami Ranch Style Homes. And if you've already created one, there's a little icon here with a magnifying glass that says Edit Search Criteria. That's where you can go back and edit these settings. So if you create it one day and then you want to go back and add the SEO settings later, totally doable. And then it would actually be at the top here, the preferences, that would let you edit the SEO settings. The criteria would let you edit the actual search criteria. And so then again, you could see like, here's the page title that I've called it. That's what shows up at the top here. So you can see the page title up here on the browser tab. And then I could go in here and add in my meta keywords about these ranch style homes and additionally some keywords about this site. So those are save links. And then again, once you make the save link, the output is going to look like this. So you would then just get a link that you would add to your website. This is again also going to have all these listings on the page which are going to default to those details settings that we've already set up. So by adding these pages, you're giving Google a lot of information that it can index, that it can look through, so that when someone does look for a home in Miami, Florida on the golf course, that's a ranch style, you're already telling Google, hey, this is a page that you should recommend to people. Last thing I want to mention is it's called Subheaders. And Subheaders lets you add content at the top of your IDX pages. This is awesome because this is a templated page, right? It already looks like this because of the IDX system. And you've told it what listings to show. But let's say we want to add some content at the top about these Miami Ranch style homes. That's where the subheader section comes in. And if you are editing your save link, at the bottom, you'll see there's this subheader section. And so here, I can either use an editor, or I could even, if I'm a developer, I could write my own code, my HTML. But I could write something about these homes. So I'm just gonna, I know it's silly, but these homes are awesome, and I'm gonna save it. And then we'll go back and we'll refresh our page. Let's make sure I put it in the right one. Well, we may need to just make one from scratch, and we'll see why that wasn't showing up. 1 second here. So I'm going to create a new link. I'm just going to kind of keep it wide open. And then I'm going to call it test page. And then in the subheader, I'm just going to say something. I'm going to try it again. These homes are awesome. And then I'm going to click save and manage. And then let's pull up our test page. There we go. So now you'll see right here, these homes are awesome. So if I wanted to, I could write and edit and format a really nice block of text where I could show additional content on this page. So basically you didn't even have to make the page like in your website. You just use our template, and then you can sort of inject content onto this page about these homes. So this is a really awesome thing that you can do. What I've seen a lot of our clients do is they'll make like a tab at the website that says neighborhoods, and then they'll make a bunch of saved links for all these different neighborhoods. And then at the subheader, they'll add in additional content up top about those neighborhoods, like why people want to live there, what's great about it, walking distance to a ton of restaurants, really close to downtown, arts district, things like that. The benefit of adding more content to these pages is that Google has more keywords and things to look at and basically establish you as a content leader or a thought leader, as well as just to like understand what the page is about. So if in this page you've mentioned golf courses or synonyms of golf courses over and over and over again, Google's going to kind of get the idea, oh, this person knows what they're talking about, and this page is really about golf courses and homes for sale on golf courses. So I'm going to make sure to show it if somebody's searching for it. Awesome. Well, those are kind of the basics. I want to show you our knowledge base real quick so you know where to get more help for these topics. Our knowledge base lives on support.idxbroker.com. And this is a great place to go for help. We have a ton of articles on all kinds of topics related to the IDX account, about capturing leads, about SEO, about just getting started. So if you search for SEO, you'll find an article called Search Engine Optimization -SEO. This covers everything in the same order that we talked about today. So creating a subdomain, turning on your SSL certificate, how to add those dynamic tags, making saved links, making sure your search pages have titles, subheaders, and submitting a sitemap. So the checklist we're going to send you will also have all this, but if you don't want to wait, you can look over this article right now and get help for all these topics. I'm going to look through the questions real quick and see if we do have any that haven't been answered, or if you have one now that you've been holding on to, feel free to drop it in and I'll take a few minutes to answer those. And I do want to thank Elaine for taking the time to answer questions. Looks like she's been pretty much able to answer everything. Any other questions anyone has right now? Are you able to have more than one subdomain? You're not. So that's a great question. You, in your account, we allow you to have one custom subdomain for your website. So all the IDX Broker pages would have that same setup. It's a great question though. Beyond that, and that's with the IDX Broker system. So outside of that system, you can definitely have additional subdomains, but just for the IDX Broker pages, it's just one for our account, for our system. So Jen had a question about Facebook and how images appear. Yeah, Jen, so that's a great question. When you paste like one of these, let me go back to my screen here. If you open up a details page, this is probably what you're sharing on Facebook. Facebook looks at the tags that are in the code. For Facebook specifically, they call them OG tags. And the OG tags basically specify what image is going to show up when you do post a link to Facebook. So like anytime any of us have shared an article to Facebook, there will often be like an image, and that's determined by what is in the code. I would recommend sending us an email, Jen, with the link that you're trying to share, and we can look over it, see why it's not showing up. But there also is a tool in Facebook called the Facebook Debugger. I think it's this one here. If you use that tool, it will tell you what the URL is specified in the OG tag. That'd be a great way to kind of troubleshoot that. But definitely send us an email and we can help figure out why the link isn't showing up appropriately. Yeah, I'm just seeing some additional follow-ups about Facebook. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a little outside the scope of today, but please send us an email or call us. We're happy to discuss this in more detail. I don't see any other questions, so I am going to go ahead and just end this webinar now. I really, really appreciate everybody joining today. I hope everyone's staying safe and sane during these unprecedented times. If you do have questions, please call us. Our number is 1-800-421-9668. or send an email to help@idxbroker.com. We'll be happy to help. And additionally, we have that knowledge base that we talked about, support.idxbroker.com. It's a great place to get help, especially offline when we're on the weekends or at night. And we do have upcoming webinars, so make sure to register for those if you're interested. We always post them on YouTube, so check our YouTube out if you want to see past webinars. And then check your email for the recorded version of this webinar, as well as that downloadable SEO checklist. That'll be great for you to have as you go along. Appreciate y'all. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.